Hello, I'm Jeff, the owner of Doxa Custom Homes. Welcome to Crafting Your Dream Home with Doxa Custom Homes. Today we're going to talk about the differences between different types of hardwood flooring, the benefits and uses of engineered hardwood flooring versus solid hardwood flooring, what to look for when buying hardwood flooring, especially engineered, what to avoid and what to look for when buying it, and a few other things. But thanks for joining us, and let's jump right into it. The most popular type of hardwood flooring on the market today that is being installed is pre-finished engineered hardwood flooring. This is what you would see if you went into a showroom and saw hardwood flooring samples. Often this stuff is pre-finished from the factory. It has a good consistency that way. It has a good wear layer, but let's talk about the benefits and cons of pre-finished flooring. So when you lay a pre-finished hardwood floor, the seams are going to come in and they're going to maybe line up almost perfectly when you're laying the flooring, let's say between boards, but you might have a little bit, a 32nd, a 16th of an inch up and down throughout the flooring, depending on imperfections in the flooring, in the subfloor, or however. Part of the problem is when you're laying pre-finished, you can't, whatever elevation they finish at is the final elevation. When you're installing unfinished hardwood flooring, you actually install it, have all the imperfections, and then you go through and sand it flat, and then you finish it. So the benefits of the pre-finished is it takes less time, it takes less labor, and it really does hold up to wear and tear well because it has a factory baked on coating for the finish. I think it's important to recognize that most DIY people are better off using pre-finished hardwood flooring. I have done this myself. I'm not a hardwood flooring finisher, but trying to figure out how to do unfinished flooring and sand it properly without getting sand marks. There's tools, there's planetary sanders and things out in the market now, but overall it makes sense to kind of do what would take the least amount of skill if you're a DIY person installing hardwood flooring in your own house. So pre-finished hardwood flooring, it can run somewhere between $3 and $12 a square foot, obviously depending on what you get. I would say a good average is $6 to $7 a square foot. That's just for the material. Often you'll want to get a glue assist, so you'll want to glue down the flooring and nail it depending on the width of the boards. Anything over 4 inches should be glued. 5 inches is kind of the cutoff, but 5 and up really should be glued and nailed, and that'll help prevent warping over time and things. Other benefits of the pre-finished is they have a micro bevel often, so if you look between the boards, there will be a small groove around the parameter, and not always, but they have that option. And it's a really clean look if you like the little bit of separation. It's kind of similar to how wood grain tile looks whenever it's installed and finished. So if you want something that's easy, it's a little bit more expensive on the material side up front, but all it is you just put it down, you glue it, and you nail it, and then you're done. Pre-finished engineered flooring is the way to go. They also sell pre-finished solid flooring. It's less popular now. Engineered is becoming more and more popular. And a lot of the reason is because, one, people have concrete floors in barn-dominiums or slab houses, and you can't really use solid wood right on top of concrete because of the moisture problem. But engineered is approved for over top of concrete use. And there's certain sealants and things you'll have to use for that to be effective, but that's just an example. Another benefit of the pre-finished hardwood flooring is that whenever it's down, it's done. You kind of install it and then you forget it. You don't have to worry about all of the sanding and finishing and staining and then the clear coats and the top coat. It's a little bit simpler of a process. Now, I will say there's different qualities of engineered and of pre-finished. So if you're getting below the $4 to $5 a square foot, $6 a square foot, you're finding cheap stuff. It's not going to last. Probably won't even last 10 to 15 years. And often, the engineer that's cheaper doesn't have as thick of a wear layer. When you read on the manufacturer's packaging about the wear layer on the engineered hardwood flooring, what it's talking about is there's 3 layers in engineered flooring. There's the bottom layer, which is solid hardwood. There's a particle board or some sort of OSB filler in the middle. And then there's the wear layer on top, which is what you see, the solid hardwood flooring. And they refer to that as a veneer. And a veneer is just a slice out of a piece of solid wood that's only somewhere between, they can be a 16th inch thick, they can be 3/8 inch thick. And there's two different types of veneers. There's scraped or peeled, where they actually take the wood and they peel off the outer layer to create that veneer. And then there's a sawn veneer, where they actually truly saw it at the sawmill. Sawn veneer is called a lamella, and it's often, a 1/4 inch thick, 3/16, 5/16. It actually is a true, almost half of the typical thickness of, standard 3/4 inch solid hardwood flooring. The lamella is the superior option. The two different veneers, when you see the peeled scraped veneer, it'll look very thin. You can tell it'll be somewhere between, I think, a 32nd and a 16th is all you get with those. I've seen it down to a 48th. I've heard people talk about that. One of the big things is that will look flat. You won't see much depth to that piece of flooring. That veneer layer will not have that same depth. You'll be able to tell clearly. Often furniture, especially older, mid-century, early century American classical traditional furniture, has that thin veneer layer, and it kind of just looks like they paste on some oak wallpaper, essentially. So the flooring looks like that too. But the sawn veneer, the lamella, that is beautiful. It looks deep. If you didn't know it wasn't engineered, you couldn't tell. It looks like solid hardwood flooring. And this is the most premium option, and what I recommend from our clients at Doxa Custom Homes. But often, if we can get away with it, I prefer solid hardwood flooring to engineered. One of the main reasons I prefer solid is because it's a natural product. All it is it comes right from the tree. The loggers they cut the tree down, they cut it up into lengths, they put it on a truck, send it to the sawmill, and then once it's at the sawmill, they saw it into boards. And again, the solid is 3/4 inch thick. They will saw that 1 inch thick often, or even 1.25 inches. So it'll be either a 4/4 or a 5/4 inch sawn board. And then what they do is they kiln dry that board. They put it in a lumber kiln, and I believe the temperatures get up to 160 depending on the kiln, to help kill off any larvae or bugs from in the wood. But also, this dries the wood down below a certain moisture content to stabilize it so that it doesn't warp over time. And they do the same with the veneer, by the way, but this is just the pure unadulterated product, from tree to log to sawmill to board to kiln dried board. And then they actually take that wood and they run it through a shaper, a mill, a processor to get the tongue and groove for the flooring, to get it to the right thickness. And then that's how the wood's manufactured. Solid wood is the whole way through solid. It is the most natural product that you can use for your flooring. It has no glues, no VOCs, no risk of delamination, none of that. So that's why we prefer it. One of the other benefits of solid hardwood flooring is you have 3/4 of an inch of wear layer technically, and you can probably get through about half of that before really needing to replace the floors. So old-time hardwood flooring installers will tell you can get 8 to 12 sandings out of one solid hardwood floor, whereas with an engineered hardwood floor, even with a thicker lamella sawn veneer, let's call it a 1/4 inch wear layer, you're only going to get maybe 3 to 5, maybe 6, and that's still really good. Because typically you won't need to refinish your floors more than once every 10 to 15 years. If you have kids, maybe every 7 years, or dogs, maybe 5, but the big thing is solid hardwood flooring has a totally just rock solid feel, look. It's authentic. It's natural. One of the other benefits of solid flooring is it's slightly cheaper. Even the pre-finished solid hardwood flooring is slightly cheaper than the pre-finished engineered hardwood flooring. Now, we can talk more about solid versus engineered, but anywhere there's a moisture application or potential for moisture wear or humidity even, we recommend the engineered. So, for example, a lot of our clients are using radiant floor heating in their first or second floor both. And for that application, because of the direct heat on the flooring, we recommend engineered hardwood flooring. And I believe that is pretty typical. Now, you can probably get away with solid, but it's a little bit riskier. So the engineered flooring allows that direct heat from the radiation from the hydronic heat system in the floor to actually, it basically, being that it has OSB, it's oriented flat. It won't cup or warp. the humidity won't actually cause any issues in the wood. So that's one really good example of where engineered is a better application than solid hardwoods. Another one is basements, like we talked about with concrete. If you don't want to do vinyl and you don't want to do tile, you can do an engineered hardwood over top of a vapor barrier, and you'll get really good results with that product. Another thing we see people wanting to do, and we're okay with, some people aren't okay with, but we are, is hardwood flooring in their bathrooms, even their full bathrooms. If you're going to do hardwood flooring in the bathrooms, you can get away with solid, again, but expect it to cup and warp and the humidity to actually enter into the wood over time. But a really good finish will help protect that. But it's not perfect. It's not an impervious layer. So the engineered is just another insurance policy to make sure that when you have a bathroom you put all this money into, you love the look of the hardwood flooring, it's going to last. The wetness from getting out of the shower, you get some spillage from brushing your teeth or shaving or washing your face in the morning. Over time, that wear and tear, that engineered is going to hold up a little bit better than the solid flooring is in bathroom applications. But besides that, if it's any other application, we really, really prefer the solid flooring for, like we mentioned, the natural aspect of it, the solid aspect of it, and yeah, it's a little bit cheaper too, which makes nice on the wallet. One more thing we need to discuss is the difference between pre-finished and unfinished. One more thing that we need to discuss is the difference between pre-finished hardwood flooring and unfinished hardwood flooring. What you see in older houses is unfinished hardwood flooring that they bring in raw, just with a tongue in the groove and no coat, no top coat, no stain, no nothing on it. They install it raw. They fill in any knot holes or any imperfections. They put wood filler in any larger cracks if there's imperfections in the wood. And then they sand it down, stain it, and seal it, and clear coat it, top coat it. And there's different ways they do this. There's different products. I'm not a hardwood flooring expert, but we do some, and actually quite a bit of solid hardwood flooring installs that are unfinished. Now, the unfinished is by far the most luxurious look. It's the highest end product. Our hardwood flooring trade partners and subcontractors, the ones that are the best of the best, they won't even touch pre-finished hardwood flooring. They will only do the unfinished. And here's why. Number one, the unfinished hardwood flooring gives them the ability to quality control before finishing. They can go sort through the boards before they install. If they see imperfections they don't like, they can remove that from the pile. Once it's finished, it's more expensive. It's a little bit more wasteful to sort out boards, and they still will. But the biggest reason, though, is when you get that flat, perfectly flat sanded surface from the unfinished with the professional hardwood flooring installer and finisher, it's a night and day difference. There's no lippage on any of the floor. It's just a smooth floor. It looks seamless. It looks like it was there for 100 years. So it's a totally different look. But I will say, in the highest end applications that we do and that some of our peers or other custom home builders and remodelers do, it's going to be unfinished flooring that's finished on the job site. Now, the pre-finished flooring, like I said, you buy it finished, you glue it and nail it in, and then it's done. That is going to be in your middle of the road applications or the DIY side of things. That's the way I would go if I really wanted to save money on the finishing side, but I really didn't want to have to try to learn a new skill and try to rent a sander and do it that way. Our hardwood flooring contractors that we work with, they actually have told me, and this is important for you to know, that if you're renting a hardwood flooring sander from an equipment rental place, it's going to be a lot harder to get a good finish than it is with a guy or a team or a company that has their own equipment and comes in and does the finishing for you. Because the rental equipment is not calibrated properly, it's kind of abused, it's used by other people who don't know what they're doing. So it adds an extra layer of challenges to learning how to finish your hardwood flooring if you don't know what you're doing and the equipment isn't really set up properly and you don't know how to set it up properly. if you're going to be a DIY installer, if it's for your own house or a small remodel that you're doing or whatever, and you really just want to take care of it yourself, buy the pre-finished flooring. Make sure that you're getting a true lamella sawn veneer wear layer on top. Make sure it's not furniture particle board in the center, but OSB if possible. And make sure that you are using the right length staples, flooring staples, and type of glue for the application involved. Let's finish this episode talking about the difference in pricing between pre-finished, unfinished, engineered, and solid hardwood flooring. So we're going to start at the cheapest end. And this includes material and labor. So these are rough numbers. This isn't going to really be an accurate representation depending on your area, but this is what we've experienced. So the cheapest option at the lowest end of the spectrum would be the pre-finished solid hardwood flooring. And this, it's getting a little bit harder to find, so might be a challenge. But again, you can expect anywhere from $4 to $10 a square foot. We've gotten it as low as $2.50 to $3, depending on if it's on sale, discontinued color. You can get it really cheap. You can almost get certain pre-finished solid hardwood floorings as cheap as luxury vinyl plank. And by the way, even if it's a lower end pre-finished hardwood, it's still a much superior product to luxury vinyl plank, where you have plastics, and just the more natural, the better is our philosophy at Doxa Custom Homes. So starting out would be, let's call it $5 a square foot, just to help your brain, for pre-finished solid. Then the next cheapest would be pre-finished engineered. Pre-finished engineered is a little bit more expensive, like we mentioned. Let's call it $6.50 to $7 a square foot, maybe $8. But yeah, we can call it $8. But again, the labor on that end, if you're doing it yourself, the labor's free. Your time is worth something, so you might want to factor that in. But the material itself is, let's say, $7 a square foot compared to the pre-finished solid, it being at $5 a square foot. And again, depending on the width, if you get a real wide board, if you get really long boards, it's gonna add to the cost. But pre-finished engineered hardwood flooring is just a step up from the pre-finished solid. And with labor, you're still talking about probably $15 to $20 a square foot installed is my guess. Depending on the flooring installer, you can obviously find cheaper. But if you're going to get the best of the best, typically we tell our clients $15 to $20 a square foot for pre-finished solid, and for pre-finished engineered, probably somewhere between $20 and $25 a square foot. And again, this varies a lot depending on the species, but I want to give you numbers so you can start to calculate and think through. A little bit more expensive than the pre-finished engineered is the unfinished solid, which is our favorite because it balances out that price and the natural nature. The next flooring that's a little bit more expensive than pre-finished engineered is unfinished solid hardwood flooring. And again, this is our favorite product. It's natural, it's solid, so there's not a whole lot that can go wrong. It's a hair cheaper than the engineered. It's widely available in tons of different species and colors, or not colors because it's unfinished, but grades, character grade, select grade, very different. And we could talk about that in another video. But the unfinished solid hardwood is probably going to run you somewhere between $27, $28 a square foot to $40 a square foot, depending on the style. But a good range would be let's call it $30 a square foot. And that's hiring a professional company to come in. And on our projects, typically we're somewhere around there with the solid unfinished hardwood flooring that they come and finish it on site. And to finish the video out, the most expensive would be the engineered unfinished hardwood flooring with the true lamella sawn wear layer. Beautiful product, works well in many applications, wet areas, radiant in floor heating, hydronic heating. You can use it, concrete applications. This is going to run you somewhere between $30 to $32, $34 to $45 a square foot. Let's call it $35 to $37 a square foot for unfinished engineered flooring that's installed, glued down, nailed down, and finished on site. And it's a great product. They're all really good options. They're all better than the non-natural options like luxury vinyl plank, waterproof laminate, etc. We really try to avoid those as much as possible because we really are trying to build homes that last generations. Our team at Doxa is focused on building with glory and excellence your dream home. And on this episode of Crafting Your Dream Home with Doxa Custom Homes, we figured out what type of hardwood flooring is going to work for you. Take this information, do a little bit more research, figure out what species you like, what you're looking for in your home, if you're going to be a DIYer or you're going to hire a professional like our company. These are all considerations that will help you craft your dream home. Have a great day. Until next time.